My name is Helen, and I've been an ER nurse at St. Joseph's Medical Center in downtown Chicago for 23 years. At 52, I thought I'd seen everything these emergency room walls could throw at me. Gunshot wounds, heart attacks, overdoses, car accidents. I prided myself on staying calm under pressure, on being the steady hand that guided panicked families through their worst moments. But nothing, absolutely nothing, could have prepared me for what I was about to discover on an ordinary Thursday night in November. The wind outside howled against the hospital windows, carrying the first real cold snap of the season. Lake Michigan's icy breath swept through the city streets, making everyone who ventured outside hunch their shoulders and quicken their pace. Inside the ER, we were slammed. Flu season had hit early and hard, and every bay was occupied with coughing, feverish patients. I was finishing up with an elderly woman in Bay 5, adjusting her IV drip and reassuring her that the antibiotics would start working soon, when I heard the familiar crackle of the overhead system. "Nurse Helen to Bay 2. Nurse Helen to Bay 2, please." I squeezed Mrs. Patterson's hand one more time. "You're going to be just fine," I told her, with a smile that had become second nature over 2 decades. "Try to rest." As I walked down the corridor, my white sneakers squeaking against the polished linoleum, I mentally ran through what might be waiting for me. Bay 2 had been empty when I'd checked 15 minutes ago. Probably a new admission. Maybe someone brought in by ambulance while I was occupied. I pushed through the curtain and stopped dead in my tracks. My husband Marcus was lying on the gurney, his left arm in a makeshift sling, his face contorted in pain. But that wasn't what made my heart slam against my rib cage. It was the woman sitting in the chair beside him, her hand resting possessively on his right arm, leaning in close as she whispered something that made him nod weakly. "Vanessa, my sister-in-law, Marcus's younger brother David's wife." "Marcus," my voice came out strangled, barely recognizable as my own. "What happened? What are you doing here?" He looked up at me, and something flickered across his face. Guilt, maybe, or fear. I couldn't quite read it. "Helen, baby, I'm okay. It's just my shoulder. We had a little accident." "We?" I repeated, my eyes moving between my husband and Vanessa. She pulled her hand away from his arm slowly, almost reluctantly, and stood up. She was wearing workout clothes, expensive leggings, and a designer sports bra under a half-zip jacket. Her dark hair was pulled back in a perfect ponytail, and despite the supposed accident, her makeup was flawless. "It was my fault," Vanessa said quickly, her voice dripping with concern. "We were at the gym, and I asked Marcus to spot me on the bench press. The weight was too much, and when I struggled, he tried to help, and the bar came down on my shoulder," Marcus finished, wincing as he tried to adjust his position on the gurney. "I heard something pop. Vanessa insisted we come straight here." I stood there, processing this information, while my professional training warred with the sudden, irrational surge of suspicion flooding my chest. Marcus and Vanessa at the gym, together, at 8 o'clock on a Thursday night. When Marcus had told me this morning he'd be working late on a project proposal. "You told me you were working late," I said slowly, trying to keep my voice steady, trying to be the professional nurse and not the wife whose stomach was currently twisting into knots. "The meeting ended early," Marcus said, not quite meeting my eyes. "I texted you, but you must have been busy. Vanessa messaged me about the gym, and I figured I could use the workout. You know how stressed I've been about the Morrison account." I did know. Marcus worked in commercial real estate, and the Morrison account was a big deal, a potential multi-million-dollar development project that could make his year. He'd been tense about it for weeks, snapping at me over small things, staying late at the office, distracted during our conversations. But going to the gym with Vanessa? My sister-in-law, who I'd never particularly warmed to, despite 15 years of family gatherings and forced pleasantries? Vanessa, who always seemed to find excuses to touch Marcus's arm during conversations, who laughed a little too loudly at his jokes, who wore clothes just a bit too revealing to family barbecues. "Let me examine you," I said, slipping into nurse mode, because it was safer than whatever I was feeling. I moved to Marcus's side, gently probing his shoulder. He hissed in pain. "We'll need x-rays, possibly an MRI if Dr. Rodriguez thinks there's soft tissue damage." "I'll stay with him," Vanessa said, settling back into her chair. "That won't be necessary," I replied, my voice sharper than I intended. "I'm his wife and his nurse. I can take it from here." Vanessa's perfectly shaped eyebrows rose slightly. "Of course. I just thought, since I was here, Thank you for bringing him in, I interrupted. But I've got this now. You should go home. I'm sure David is wondering where you are. Something passed between Marcus and Vanessa then. A look I couldn't quite decipher. It lasted only a second, but it was enough to make my skin prickle with unease. David's in Milwaukee for the weekend, Vanessa said slowly. Business trip. He won't be back until Sunday. Of course he was. David traveled frequently for his job in pharmaceutical sales, and somehow Marcus had known Vanessa would be free tonight. Or had she known he would be? Still, I said firmly, we're going to be a while. X-rays, waiting for results, paperwork. There's no point in you staying. Vanessa looked at Marcus, not at me. If you're sure you'll be okay? Marcus nodded, and I noticed he still wasn't looking directly at me. Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for everything, V. V. He called her V. Since when did my husband have a nickname for my sister-in-law? After Vanessa finally left, trailing expensive perfume and backward glances, I wheeled Marcus down to radiology myself. Dr. Rodriguez ordered a full shoulder series and an MRI to check for rotator cuff damage. As we waited in the small examination room for the results, an awkward silence stretched between us like a gulf that had opened up in the span of an hour. You're mad, Marcus said finally. It wasn't a question. I'm confused, I corrected, standing by the window and watching the Chicago skyline glitter against the dark November sky. You told me you'd be working late. Instead, you were at the gym with Vanessa, and you never mentioned that you two work out together. We don't, Marcus said quickly. This was the first time. I swear, Helen. She texted me out of the blue, said she was trying this new gym and wanted a workout partner. David's been gone so much lately, and I thought she was just lonely. I was trying to be nice, be a good brother-in-law. I turned to face him. In the harsh fluorescent light, I could see the lines around his eyes, the gray threading through his dark hair. We'd been married for 28 years, together since we were both 24. I'd nursed him through a bout of pneumonia, held his hand through his father's funeral, celebrated every promotion and success. I knew this man's face better than my own. So why did I suddenly feel like I was looking at a stranger? Marcus, be honest with me. Is there something going on between you and Vanessa? His eyes widened with what looked like genuine shock. What? Helen, no. God, no. She's David's wife. She's family. How could you even think that? Then why do I feel like I'm missing something? I asked, my voice breaking slightly. Why do I feel like there's a whole conversation happening that I'm not part of? Before Marcus could answer, Dr. Rodriguez knocked and entered with a tablet displaying the imaging results. Good news and bad news, he said in his characteristic direct manner. No fracture, but you've got a partial tear in your rotator cuff. You're going to need physical therapy, possibly surgery, if it doesn't improve with conservative treatment. The next hour was consumed with treatment plans, prescriptions for pain medication and anti-inflammatories, referrals to orthopedic specialists, and instructions for care. By the time I wheeled Marcus out to the parking lot at 11:30, my shift over and my mind spinning, the temperature had dropped another 10 degrees. I can drive, Marcus offered weakly as we approached our Honda Accord. With one arm? I said. Don't be ridiculous. The drive to our house in Lincoln Park was silent, except for the occasional groan from Marcus when I hit a pothole. Our neighborhood was quiet, the tree-lined streets mostly dark except for the occasional porch light. We'd bought the 3-bedroom bungalow 30 years ago when the area was less fashionable and more affordable. Now it was worth 3 times what we'd paid, surrounded by renovated homes and young families. Our own children were grown and gone. Sarah was a teacher in Portland, and Michael was finishing medical school in Boston. The house that had once been full of noise and chaos and life now echoed with emptiness most days. I helped Marcus into the house, got him settled on the couch with pillows propping up his injured shoulder, and brought him water and his pain medication. Then I sat in the armchair across from him, still in my scrubs, and waited. Talk to me, I said. And I mean really talk to me, Marcus. No deflection, no half-truths. What's been going on? He sighed, leaning his head back against the cushions. Nothing's going on, Helen, I swear to you. But I know things have been weird between us lately. Weird how? Distant, he said. We're like roommates who happen to be married. We talk about bills and schedules and what needs to be fixed around the house, but we don't really talk anymore. When was the last time we went on a date? When was the last time we stayed up late just talking about life, about dreams, about anything that mattered? His words hit me like a physical blow, because they were true. Somewhere between raising kids and building careers and managing the endless responsibilities of adult life, Marcus and I had stopped being partners and become co-managers of a household corporation. That doesn't explain Vanessa, I said quietly. Vanessa's been going through a rough time, Marcus said. David's never home. She's lonely. She's been reaching out more lately, texting, calling, asking to grab coffee or lunch. I thought I was being a good brother-in-law, being supportive. Tonight was just an extension of that. Has David been talking to you about their marriage? Marcus hesitated, and that hesitation told me everything. He mentioned they've been having problems. He thinks Vanessa might be having an affair. The room tilted slightly. What? He didn't have proof, Marcus added quickly. Just a feeling. She's been secretive with her phone, making excuses to go out, spending money on new clothes and gym memberships. He asked me to kind of keep an eye on her when he's traveling, make sure she's okay. So you've been spying on your brother's wife? Not spying, just being around, being available if she needed to talk. I stood up, suddenly needing to move, to pace, to do something with the energy coursing through my body. And it never occurred to you how that might look, how inappropriate it might be for you to be spending time alone with her? We're family, Helen. Family can be complicated, I shot back. And you know as well as I do that Vanessa's always had a thing for you. Marcus's face flushed. That's ridiculous. Is it? Every family party, every holiday, every gathering, she finds ways to be near you, to touch you, to get your attention. I've watched it for years, Marcus. I've bitten my tongue because I trusted you. But now I find out you've been spending time with her behind my back. I wasn't behind your back. Marcus's voice rose. Then he winced, his hand going to his shoulder. Jesus, Helen, I went to the gym with her one time, and I got hurt. That's it. That's the whole story. I called in sick for my Friday shift, something I rarely did in 23 years of nursing. I needed time to think, to process what I was feeling. Marcus slept late, the pain medication keeping him knocked out until almost noon. I spent the morning doing something I'd never done before. I went through Marcus's phone. He'd left it charging on the kitchen counter, password unchanged from the one I'd always known. My hands shook as I opened his messages, feeling like the worst kind of betrayer, even as I justified it to myself as necessary. The text chain with Vanessa went back months. Casual at first, family stuff, questions about David, plans for upcoming holidays. But gradually, they'd become more frequent, more personal. Thanks for lunch today. I really needed someone to talk to. You always know how to make me laugh when I'm feeling down. David and I had another fight. Can we grab coffee tomorrow? And Marcus's responses, always supportive, always available. Nothing overtly romantic or sexual, but something about the intimacy of the conversations made my stomach clench. These weren't the texts of casual family acquaintances. These were the texts of two people who'd developed their own private relationship. The gym invitation from yesterday. New gym membership burning a hole in my pocket. Want to be my workout buddy tonight? David's out of town again and I hate going alone. Marcus's response, sure. Meet you there at 7? No mention of asking me. No invitation for me to join. Just the two of them, making plans in their private conversation. I set the phone down, my hands shaking. I still hadn't found anything definitively wrong. No love declarations, no plans to run away together, no explicit evidence of an affair. But I'd found something almost worse, emotional intimacy. The kind of connection that should exist between spouses, not between a man and his sister-in-law. When Marcus woke up, I was sitting at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee that had gone cold hours ago. We need to talk, I said. He shuffled into the kitchen, his hair disheveled, his arms still in the sling. Yeah, we do. I looked at your phone. I expected anger, outrage, accusations of violating his privacy. Instead, Marcus just nodded slowly and sat down across from me. What did you find? Months of conversations with Vanessa, secret lunch dates, coffee meetings, late-night texting sessions, a whole relationship I knew nothing about. It's not what you think, Marcus said, but his voice lacked conviction. Then what is it, Marcus? Explain it to me. Make me understand why my husband has been having an emotional affair with my sister-in-law. It's not an affair, he protested. We're friends, that's all. Friends? I laughed bitterly. I'm your friend, Marcus. I'm your wife, your partner, your best friend, or at least I thought I was. But somewhere along the way, you replaced me with Vanessa, and I was too busy working 12-hour shifts and managing this house to even notice. Marcus's eyes filled with tears. "You're right," he said quietly, "about all of it. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Helen." The apology, instead of making me feel better, opened a floodgate. I started crying, deep, wrenching sobs that came from a place of betrayal and hurt and fear that I was losing my marriage. "How did we get here?" I asked through my tears. "How did we become people who lie to each other and keep secrets and look for emotional connection outside our marriage?" "I don't know," Marcus said, reaching across the table with his good hand to grasp mine. "But I know I don't want to lose you. I know that whatever happened with Vanessa, whatever emotional line I crossed, it was wrong. It was unfair to you, and it was unfair to our marriage. Do you have feelings for her?" The question hung in the air between us, heavy and terrifying. Marcus didn't answer right away, and in that silence, I died 1,000 small deaths. "I don't know," he finally admitted. "I know I like how she makes me feel. Young, interesting, needed. But is that love? Is that something worth destroying our marriage over?" "No, absolutely not." "But you thought about it," I said. "You thought about what it would be like." He nodded miserably. "I thought about a lot of things. About whether you and I had just grown apart. About whether we were staying together out of habit or obligation rather than love. About whether either of us was truly happy anymore." His honesty was like a knife to my chest, but I also recognized the courage it took to say these things out loud. And the terrible truth was, I'd been thinking some of the same things. "I love you," I said, squeezing his hand. "I've loved you for 30 years. But you're right. We've lost something. We've let work and life and responsibilities erode what we had. And I don't know how to get it back." "Do you want to get it back?" Marcus asked. "Or are we just going through the motions because it's easier than admitting we've grown apart?" I thought about our life together. The good years, when the kids were young and we were building our careers, and everything felt possible. The challenging years, when money was tight and stress was high and we'd argued about everything. The recent years, when we'd settled into comfortable routine and stopped really seeing each other. "I want to try," I said. "But things have to change, really change. And that starts with Vanessa." That weekend, we invited David and Vanessa over for dinner. David had returned from his Milwaukee trip, and it was time for some difficult conversations. I'd spent Saturday preparing Marcus's favorite meal, pot roast with vegetables, homemade rolls, apple pie for dessert, comfort food for an uncomfortable conversation. Marcus helped as much as he could with one arm, and there was something healing about working together in the kitchen, moving around each other with the practiced choreography of nearly 3 decades together. David arrived first, his face lined with exhaustion from travel. He hugged me warmly, asked about how Marcus was doing, and settled into our living room with a beer. Vanessa came 10 minutes later, perfectly put together as always, her smile faltering slightly when she saw the serious expressions on our faces. "So," David said after we'd settled around the dining room table, plates of food growing cold in front of us, "this feels like an intervention. What's going on?" I looked at Marcus, who took a deep breath. "Vanessa and I have crossed some boundaries that were inappropriate," he began. "Nothing physical, nothing that would constitute an affair. But we've been spending time together without being transparent with our spouses, and that was wrong." Vanessa's face paled. "Marcus, let him finish," David said quietly, his jaw tight. Marcus continued, his voice steady despite the tremor I could see in his hands. "I convinced myself I was being a good brother-in-law, being supportive when you were traveling so much. But the truth is, I was seeking emotional connection outside my marriage, and that's not acceptable. I betrayed Helen's trust, and I potentially put your marriage at risk, David. I'm sorry." David turned to Vanessa. "Is this true?" She nodded, tears streaming down her perfect makeup. "I was lonely, David. You're never home. And Marcus was kind and attentive and made me feel like I mattered. I know that's not an excuse. I know I crossed lines I shouldn't have, but I swear to you, nothing physical ever happened." "That doesn't make it better," David said, his voice harsh. "You were having an emotional affair with my brother. Do you have any idea how that makes me feel? How betrayed I feel right now?" The conversation that followed was painful and raw. Accusations flew, tears were shed, and truths that had been buried for years came to the surface. David admitted he'd been using work as an escape from problems in their marriage. Vanessa confessed she'd felt invisible and unimportant for years. Marcus and I talked about how we'd stopped prioritizing each other, stopped making our marriage a living, breathing thing that required care and attention. By the time dessert was served, though none of us had much appetite, we'd reached some difficult conclusions. David and Vanessa agreed to couples counseling, to work on their marriage or decide if they wanted to stay together. Marcus and I made the same commitment, and we all agreed that Marcus and Vanessa would have no contact outside of necessary family gatherings, with strict boundaries in place. "I know this doesn't fix everything," I said, as David and Vanessa prepared to leave. "But it's a start. We're family, and families can heal if everyone's willing to do the work." Vanessa hugged me at the door, whispering, "I'm so sorry, Helen, for everything." I hugged her back, surprising myself. "I know. We all made mistakes. We all have work to do." After they left, Marcus and I cleaned up the kitchen in silence. When the last dish was dried and put away, he turned to me with tears in his eyes. "Thank you," he said simply, "for fighting for us, for not giving up." "I'm not going to lie and say this is easy," I replied, "or that I'm not still hurt and angry. But I meant what I said. I want to try. I want to remember why we fell in love in the first place." Over the following weeks, Marcus and I started the hard work of rebuilding our marriage. We began seeing Dr. Helen Morrison, a couples therapist recommended by a colleague at the hospital. We instituted a weekly date night. Nothing fancy, just dedicated time to reconnect. We started talking again, really talking, about our fears and dreams and disappointments. Marcus attended physical therapy for his shoulder twice a week, and I went with him when my schedule allowed. We walked along Lake Michigan on sunny afternoons, bundled against the Chicago winter, holding hands and talking about everything and nothing. We rediscovered inside jokes and shared memories, the foundation of 30 years together. It wasn't always easy. There were nights I lay awake, wondering if Marcus was thinking about Vanessa. There were moments of anger and resentment that bubbled up unexpectedly, but there were also moments of genuine connection, of laughter, of hope that we could find our way back to each other. 3 months after that terrible night in the ER, Marcus and I stood on our front porch on a February evening, watching snow fall softly on our quiet street. His shoulder had healed well, though he still did exercises to maintain his range of motion. My shifts at the hospital continued to be demanding, but I'd started saying no to extra hours, prioritizing time at home. "Do you ever think about what would have happened if you hadn't been working that night?" Marcus asked, his arm around my shoulders. "If I'd gone to a different hospital and you'd never known about the gym?" "Sometimes," I admitted, "but I think we would have ended up here eventually. Maybe not this exact situation, but some crisis that forced us to confront what we'd been avoiding." "What's that?" "That marriage isn't a destination. It's not something you achieve and then maintain on autopilot. It's a choice you make every single day, to show up, to be present, to choose your partner over and over again." Marcus pulled me closer, pressing a kiss to the top of my head. "I choose you, Helen. Today and every day. I choose you too," I whispered back. Inside, our warm house waited, filled with 30 years of memories and hopefully many more to come. The road ahead wouldn't be perfect. No marriage ever is. But we were walking it together, and that made all the difference. My name is Helen, and I'm 52 years old. I've been an ER nurse for 23 years, and I've seen people at their worst and their best. I've held hands with dying patients and celebrated with new parents. I've witnessed miracles and heartbreaks. But the most important thing I've learned, both in that emergency room and in my own life, is that healing is always possible. It requires honesty, courage, and the willingness to do hard work. It means confronting painful truths and making difficult changes. It means choosing love over comfort, growth over stagnation, connection over distance. That night when I heard "Emergency in Bay 2" over the hospital intercom, I thought I was being called to treat another routine patient. Instead, I was being called to save my marriage, a different kind of emergency, but no less critical. And I'm so grateful I answered that call.